At Changemaker, we define change delivery as a structured approach for moving from a current state to a future desired state. And that can come in a variety of shapes and sizes. So to bring that to life with a few examples, you could, for example, have a small tweak to a website, a bit of copy change or a color change, something along those lines. You could have a software upgrade to the latest version. You could have something on the non-technical side that is perhaps a marketing campaign or a comms campaign. At the other end of the scale of complexity, it could be a major new software or IT platform that you're putting into an organization, or even a significant change to an operating model that fundamentally shifts a company's ways of working. All of those are flavors of change, and all of those require an effective change delivery approach. Perhaps the most common is where an organisation has grown very rapidly, and as a result, it's got change demand coming out of its ears, but doesn't have enough delivery supply to effectively deliver that change demand in the timeframes that are needed. At the other end of the scale, you might have an organisation that's been subject to significant cost cutting, and it's lost a lot of its change delivery resources, but the net result is still the same. You end up with an organisation that's got more demand than supply available to deliver. We often see some more structural problems in how organisations go about managing their change delivery. And I would say the most common challenges and themes that we see there are where an organisation has perhaps not put enough effort up front in how it assesses and scopes its change before moving into delivery. And it doesn't pay enough attention to what we call deliverability. So can this thing actually be delivered or not, especially in the context of the wider enterprise change portfolio? And that's often compounded in big organizations by a lack of effective prioritization. So everything comes through with the same priority. It's all priority one, and you end up invariably with a roadmap that's shaped by default, not design. The net result of all of this is often unrealistic delivery timeframes, frustrated business owners, and the change delivery community are overworked and really struggling to manage change effectively. One of the other perhaps slightly more niche challenges we see is a lot of organisations that have embraced agile ways of working over recent years. And we've found many of those have gone down what I would describe as the agile rabbit hole a little bit too far. And by that I mean that they have adopted some elements of agile, but not the entire Agile manifesto that makes it effective. And invariably that manifests as organisations that have picked and chosen the bits they like. So you get a position where there's no accountability on delivery, no control, no governance, and invariably that leads to delivery chaos further downstream. So there are many misconceptions that we see surface on a regular basis. But probably first and foremost, I think we need to be honest, and we certainly are with our clients that we talk to, in that governance isn't exactly a phrase that gets the pulse racing. Most organisations kind of intuitively know they need it, but don't really want it when it comes to it. And as a result of that, those within an organisation that are tasked with controlling change delivery and putting effective governance in place often suffer from bad PR as a result. However, there are ways of getting around this, and we have found at Changemaker the most important thing is, although you need to focus on some degree of process and controls, you absolutely also have to focus on human interaction and how that enables change delivery to be governed and managed within any organisation. And the trick there is to try and find a solution that is right-sized for a particular organisation. There is no one size that fits all. We talk a lot about right-sized governance within Changemaker. And indeed, even within an organisation, you might find a solution that works this month, but as an organisation evolves and changes over time, you'll need to adapt that governance solution accordingly to make sure it fits in future. So again, we see lots of common themes in the challenges that organisations face when trying to implement an effective change delivery methodology. Now, first and foremost, you need some basic controls in place. It's a hygiene factor. You have to have a minimum level of process and procedure and even tools and data controls in place to enable effective governance. But what we've found at Changemaker over the years, and with our experience with many, many clients, is it's the organisational, cultural and behavioural aspects of change that are invariably overlooked. And just to bring that to life, an example we see all too often is what we term hero culture. So you will see an organisation that is hardwired within its DNA to focus on this week's number one priority, but often it's at the expense of last week's number one priority, or the week before, or the month before. And the net result of that is often that the person who's got the loudest voice or the most influence within an organisation can deliver, and they use their hero culture to make that happen, but it's not necessarily what's best for the organisation as a whole. That's often then magnified by an organisation's tendency to think in silos. So departments or even people thinking what's best for me, what's the thing I need to do to get my change across the line, but you're not necessarily looking at what's best for the organisation as a whole.